Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Open Book. I am Billy Price. I am one of the co-founders of Billy Footwear. And if those out there are new to Open Book, first off, let me tell you, I love Open Book because we as a brand, we are an open book. My story is also an open book. And what Open Book is, this program, it empowers us to share a little bit about our brand, but also it empowers us to be able to talk about the amazing collaborations and connections we have with the wonderful people out there in the world. And today, I'm so excited for this conversation because we have Amelia and Casey joining us today. And they have an amazing story, but they also have an amazing story with their child, Maverick. So welcome to Open Book, Amelia and Casey.
Hey, Billy.
Hey.
So there's so many things I want to ask you, but I would love to be able to start with Maverick. Can you introduce us, like tell us Maverick's story? I mean, I know there's a lot there, and Maverick is a rather young kiddo, but he's got an incredible story, and I'd also love to learn about a little bit more about SOC 9.
Okay. Yeah, so Maverick, he is 2 years old. Before he was born, we didn't know that there was anything like really wrong, like going on with him. They had noticed that maybe his left kidney might not be working correctly, but that was about all that we knew. I ended up having to have like an emergency C-section, and once Maverick came out, he wasn't breathing correctly. I think they called it stridor back then. He had like a really loud noise with his breathing. So he had to be intubated. He was put on a ventilator. They had to ship him to a separate hospital than I was at because they had a higher NICU. And while he was there, they decided that they needed to transfer him to a bigger children's hospital. They wasn't sure what was going on. They just knew that he couldn't hold his own oxygen. So they shipped him 4 hours away, and I got discharged from the hospital. We drove down there that next day, and we were in the NICU for 53 days with him. He ended up getting diagnosed with tracheomalacia, which is where your airway is floppy. So it closes on itself when you breathe. It's not a perfect circle. And he was also diagnosed with no ACL in his leg, periventricular leukomalacia, which is where he lost oxygen to his brain. They thought he was going to have cerebral palsy, so we did a large genetic screen because he had so many issues going on. There was like, there has to be some kind of diagnosis to link all of these things together. That took about 6 months to come back, and when it came back, it was a rare genetic disorder called campomelic dysplasia. It's a mutation in your SOX9 gene. We're still researching that. There's very little to go on with that. But the main issues that it causes is airway issues, skeletal dysplasia, so curvatures in the spine, short stature. It can also cause heart defects, which we got Maverick checked for that, and he's clear. But only 10% of infants survive past the age of 1. So we call Maverick our little miracle.
Wow. Well, first off, Amelia, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. And yeah, I mean, life gives us curveballs, right? I know that myself, I have a spinal cord injury. I broke my neck when I was 18. And where my life was going at that time, it changed very abruptly. And I remember when I got the news that I had a spinal cord injury and news beyond that I would never walk again, it was very difficult for me to not only hear those words, but what to do next.
Yes.
And when you're describing, when Maverick came into this world, the information that you're getting is, to have like Maverick all of a sudden shift off somewhere else. Can you talk about like that moment in time? I'm sure it was just like absolutely like indescribable that of what was happening. Is like, I want to have answers, but I don't have the answers.
Yeah. So as a mom, just kind of seeing your kid being taken away from you before you can even like hold him or make sure he's okay. The only thing I remember is after the C-section, my husband was in there with me, and they took Maverick kind of to the side, and they put the oxygen mask and was kind of bagging him. I was like, "What's wrong? Is he okay?" And Casey's just like, "Yeah, he's fine. I'm not sure what's going on. But then the next time I seen him, he was intubated and had to be life flighted. So your mind's going 100 different places because you didn't know anything was wrong, and then all of a sudden you have all this thrown on you. We had to make a bunch of decisions on which hospital to send him to that was better equipped to handle him. And then we were displaced from our home for 3 months with him. We still make multiple visits to his doctors. We kept the ones that are 4 hours away since they took care of him since he was born. They initially told us that he would never walk. Like, they didn't think he'd be able to walk or talk or anything like that. But he finally just started walking this year. He has to have a little bit of help. He's going to have surgery on his legs, but and he can say words, just not full sentences yet. So, yeah.
When you get information about, because you mentioned earlier about the 10% thing, not living past 1. How do you digest that information?
It was tough. I know by the time we got the news, he was a little past the hard part, I would say. He had to be resuscitated, Twice. 2 times while we were in the hospital. They were talking about tracheing him, but we had some amazing doctors that were like, let's just give it a little bit of time. Science can only take you so far, and then there's God. That's what they told us. So we put our trust in them, and they did what was best for Maverick. So it was a lot to digest. We knew then that our lives that we knew at the time were going to change. We got a lot busier with so many doctor's appointments, and we were in a constant state of worry, especially in the newborn stage. But it's getting a little easier as it goes on. The worry's always still there, but.
So you mentioned that Maverick's 3. When is Maverick's birthday?
He'll be 3 in January.
Oh, 3 in January. Oh, okay. Okay, got it. Yeah. Wow. Well, so what does the day-to-day routine look like?
So he wakes up pretty early. I'd say probably 6 or 6:30. He has to have his me's, which are his muffins. And then he gets a G-tube feed twice a day, once in the morning. And then we have therapy 4 days a week. He gets occupational therapy, speech therapy, and physical therapy. So that takes up a lot of our time. Our only free days are Thursdays. Okay. And then he has a home health nurse that comes Monday through Friday to help out while me and his dad work. So. Okay.
And then as you look down the timeline, what's next?
So next, he has a sedated MRI of his spine. They want to check out and make sure there's no tethered cord or spinal injuries. Once they receive that, he's got to have a surgery on both of his knees. He's very knock-kneed due to his missing ACL, and the bowing of his long bones is what campomelic dysplasia causes. So they're going to go into each knee and screw a plate in his growth plate to help it straighten up over the next couple of years, and then they'll go out and change it as he grows. So we still got a lot more going on, a lot more to go through, but he's worth it. Yeah. He has such a personality.
Well, I'm just a little warrior.
Yes.
Maverick's message to the world is just one of not quitting. So,
never giving up.
Yeah. So, how does Maverick's message get out? Because it's got to be a powerful story that people are seeking. Yeah. I don't know. It's got to be a driving message for lots of folks.
Yeah, we live in a really small town. When everyone kind of found out the news about Maverick, everybody kind of band together and helped us out while we were away from home, whether it was taking care of our house or we got multiple gift cards from the churches for eating out and things like that. Once Maverick grew up a little bit and kind of came into his own little personality, everybody was like, he's so funny and friendly and everything he's been through, and he's still got this awesome personality. we were at a local restaurant and we thought it would be funny to give him a little piece of a jalapeno pepper to let him try it because he likes spicy stuff. And I gave him a bite of it and he gave me this crazy side eye look. And he was like, "Did you really just do that?" And a few months later, I finally posted it on the internet and it blew up. It went crazy. And ever since then, we've posted taste testing videos, and in between those and like package unboxing videos, we'll post little snips of like Maverick's story or like why, because people will ask questions. Why does he have a tube in his stomach, or why do his legs look like that when he walks? And so we just try to educate people on his disabilities and show them that like his disabilities do not define who he is as a person.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. So blew up. What do you mean by blew up? I mean, what kind of following are we talking here?
So his TikTok following right now, we have like 2.3 million followers on TikTok, and on Instagram we just recently started that. He's got about 206,000.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, let me put these up on the screen for everyone else that's like listening in or watching. So if you want to be able to follow Maverick on TikTok, it's at Amelia Montgomery 08. That's on TikTok. And then on Instagram, it's at green_fam23. So, wow, you guys. I mean, I think it's so awesome that it's so awesome you're able to share. I mean, it's I get asked to share my story as well, and I'm okay like sharing it. And I think it's important, like when we're able to share, like we as a community are, we're strengthened by it. Like just like all of us together, like more like a big landscape of inclusion. Like
yes,
to be all like there's just a lot we can seek from each other. And but I know within those conversations we learn from each other. So I'm curious, how did you learn about our world? How did you learn about the Billy Shoe world?
Okay, so Maverick needed a gait trainer, which is kind of like a walker that straps around his waist to kind of help him bear weight on his legs to be able to walk. And when we first got that at therapy, he had to have braces because he's also got a club foot and, the issues with his ACL. And we could not find any shoes anywhere that his braces would fit in because he also has chunky feet. But we were in Target one day. The physical therapist said, "There's this shoe brand at Target that is inclusive for kids with that have to wear braces." So I ran to Target, got some shoes, and I was like, "These are perfect." They ended up being Billy's shoes, and we needed to size up, but they didn't have Maverick size at the local Target, and they only had pink pair. So I went to his social media and said, "I love these shoes, but like I don't know where to find anymore. Like, can somebody help me out?" And you guys actually reached out and said, "Hey, we have an online storefront." And I was like, well, that was kind of crazy of me to not check that out. But you guys actually ended up sending us 2 more pair in the bigger size that Maverick needed. And we wear them every day. So whenever his following blew up, I was like, you know what, let's, promote this shoe brand and show that other kids that have to wear braces and moms that are having the same problem that, hey, Billy's footwear is out there and they're inclusive for everybody.
Well, I mean, Amelia, that means so much. I mean, it truly does. I mean, and it's so wild to me because this little shoe brand started in my parents' basement. It was a small little thing we were doing on the side, and the word started getting out. And it was just word of mouth. I mean, that type of one person tells the next person, that person tells 2 more people, and then 2 more people, and 2 more people, and then just like that, it's around the world. So it's been such an honor to be part of like a grassroots movement, to be able to, share shoes that myself, I mean, I had a life transformational experience just because I could put my shoes on again. Yeah. And it turns out there's a lot of other folks out there that want to put their shoes on too. Yeah. And it's just so cool. So boy, thank you for wanting to share news of the brand, and that we're working together, which is even more important.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, and thank you for starting that. A lot of people wouldn't have wouldn't be able to put their own shoes on or have inclusive shoes if it wasn't for you. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, my pleasure. I mean, it was my fellow co-founder Darren. I just threw an idea at him, and then he just kind of mocked up a shoe design. I'm like, yep, that's exactly what it is. And then he made a prototype for me, and then kind of the rest is history. So,
Oh yeah.
Amelia and Casey, I want to be respectful of your time. I mean, I love this conversation. I want to be able to go deeper, but I want to be respectful of your time too. So, we covered a lot of ground. Is there anything else that you'd like to share before we bid our viewers and listeners adieu?
I don't think so. I guess just our main message to put out into the world is that teach your children to be inclusive. I mean, just because Maverick has disabilities, he's still got an awesome personality, and it's the same with any other kid out there that may be quote unquote different. So that's our main goal with our platform, is to just show that inclusion matters.
Well, amen. I mean, I couldn't agree more. Well, Amelia and Casey, thank you so much again for your time. Make sure to give Maverick a big hug from me too. Everyone else that was out there, I'm going to put the handles up there on screen once more. So on TikTok, to learn more about Maverick and just the family. So on TikTok, it's at Amelia Montgomery 08. So AMELIA MONTGOMERY 08. And then on Instagram, it's at green_fam23. So at GREEN_FAM 23. Thank you again, everyone else out there. This is another episode of Open Book. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll have another one again real soon. So until then, take care.